What's up, guys? Welcome back to another stream. I am mobile right now. I'm on my laptop setup and back in New York City. Have a monologue today, short stream, but I have some things that I want to talk about. Want to make sure everything's good. Make sure you guys can hear me. All our good stuff. Want to see the audio's good, video's good, and then we can get into it. Cool. It looks like it's good. All right, so is the Wi-Fi okay? Connection's good. Type of 1 if you can hear me. Everybody in here, it's good to be back in New York City. It's good to be back and wearing my nice professional fit, nice and linen, decent hotel. It's nice and it's weird to be back in New York. It's weird to be back here. Want to make sure everything's good before I start talking. Is it delayed? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Come on, get some ones in here. Stream is tweeted out. Everything sounds good. All right. Welcome back, guys. How you feeling? How was your week been so far? It's Tuesday, August 1st, first of the month. Time to get paid. Time to make money. We're well over halfway through the year. The year has flown by. I'm talking about the chat's messed up. Hold up. I can't talk in if I can't see the chat. Can't talk in this again. My bad. Bro, where the fuck have you been? It's been for 2 days. It's been like 4 days. My bad, chat. Been reflecting a little bit. Been thinking more. Been trying to get into a new headspace. When things get repetitive, I think it's necessary to take some time off and to reflect and all that stuff. Christian Dior, I'm all up in the stores. No, that's okay, any New Yorkers in here? I did see some of you walking around today. Some of you guys came up to me. I've been walking around with my Leonardo DiCaprio fit, trying to hide. I'm a little bit of, I can't even lie. I've never been like that paranoid about anything. But I've been a little bit, I don't know. I've been talking a lot of shit. I've been talking a lot of shit since I last been here. So I've been walking around like this, like Leonardo DiCaprio. Hiding from, I don't want to, because there's so many more trannies here than usual. And it's just, this is the NPC hub. This is where like an NPC spawn point. So I don't want anyone to, I don't want to have any problems. I was sitting in Washington Square Park earlier today, like this, just kind of, and some people came up to me and some guy said he recognized me from my goatee, but I'm just trying to, and I can't have my gun when I'm here. I can't walk around with my gun. When I'm in Florida, I have my gun everywhere I go. Here, I'm more exposed. I'm not here with anybody. I have some friends here, but I'm not walking around with the mob or a couple other people. So it's like, I'm kind of, you kind of have to trust everybody else to not do something. And I've been talking a lot since I last came back to New York City. I think I came here once after EA24 in November. And then, other than that, I think the last time I was really here was when I moved out. I've been pretty much in Miami the entire time. I went back to visit my family a couple times. They live close by. So, it's a little bit like I'm kind of like on edge. I'm never really the type of guy to be on edge like that. But don't stop the daily streams now, bro. I've been waiting on the streams. Yeah, no. I'll be back with the streams. We have a lot more planned. I want to go to London and start streaming from London with Sheikh Uthman. We have a lot of big things planned, more traveling. But I'm not the type of guy that can just be in one place all the time. I need to travel, especially before I have children. I think it's extremely important to gain new experiences and to see the world and to learn more. But trying to read and get new inspiration. I went to Epstein's house earlier today just to see inside. And luckily, right then, they were doing construction. So then I got to peek in a little bit, and I asked, there was construction guys coming in and out, and they were closing the door halfway so that I couldn't even look in at all. And I asked the main guy there because he was the one with the clipboard. I'm like, did Jeffrey Epstein live here? He's like, I don't know. Clearly you knew. Clearly you know that Jeffrey Epstein was there. Thank you for the 5 Depath at the gym right now, 25 push-ups right now. You give me $5, so I'm not doing 25 push-ups for $5. I'll do 5 at the end. But being back in New York City, it's like everyone who still lives here, a lot of my friends and a lot of people, are any New Yorkers in here? Type of 1 if you are here. Zerka's in New York too. I think we have something planned for tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And I have some more podcasts on the way. Have some collabs lined up with Ryan Long, Boys Cast, and Academics hit me up. So you're going to see more podcasts soon. But want to talk to you guys, to all the autistic schizos. No reactions today. No clips. No drama. I wanted to do something with Gideon, but I don't know. It's like the headphones, and it's weird like that. So it's the NPC spawn point, and everybody who's been here, I don't know if you live in any liberal city, the amount of trannies has tripled. And I know that's like, I don't want to be the guy who only talks about trannies, but it's tripled since I left. They come out of nowhere. The mullet with the green hair. Do a little meetup. I'll pop out right now. No, I'm not doing a meetup, man. Thanks for the send. But I do have videos planned in the next couple days before I go to London. The amount of like the green hair mullet people and the BLM fit, like right when I got here, I was sitting down like drinking tea because I can't drink alcohol anymore. I'm sitting at a bar drinking tea like bro, like DePath says bet 25 push-ups right now. Oh bro, okay, this fucking guy. Can I get into my monologue before? Okay, let me do 25 because this fucking guy. Let him come in because the Instagram and Twitter, fine. 25 push-ups, chat. But let me do my monologue, okay? Let me do my monologue before you interrupt it. Do 25. You can do 25, chat. 10. 20. 1, 4, 3, 2. Okay, now leave me alone. Let me talk. The amount of the trannies has tripled. And I'm at a bar drinking green tea because I like a faggot. Well, no, actually, no. I'm on my Dean, halal, no alcohol. And then I see somebody with a white dude, of course, because that's like the most amount. Let's be honest, like white people, you guys can hold the L for that. The amount of trannies, it pretty much consists, and there's a lot of black trannies too, but the ones who are like, let me be political, black power fist, and on the back of his shirt it says, say no to transphobia, say no to bigotry, say no to fascism, say no to all the talking points. And I'm like, of course, the first person that I see, and it's in a nice bar with rugs, and it's a good atmosphere, and then I just hear this comment, and then they play Rihanna on their phone, and I have to hear Rihanna like, bitch better have my, from a phone speaker. I'm out of breath right now. Okay. So I'm walking around like Leonardo DiCaprio, just like wondering like when some train is gonna like try to, say no to fascism and hit me. So if you see me walking around New York tomorrow or the day after like this, just don't be weird. Don't be weird. I thought that this is gonna be a good disguise. Is this a good disguise? Yes or no, chat? And also reflecting on New York, how much things have changed. It's a good reminder about why I left. I moved here because I was born in New York City, but I'm not really from New York City. I was born here, but I came here. I came back, and for the beginning years of my adult life, because New York City is the cinematic main character place to start your life. It's a good place that people want a backstory from there. There's culture, there's energy here. You can become like this is where people go to become the main character. But I left because it was getting too liberal, and you see the type of people who dye their hair green, or they just like they're really fat and they're wearing a crop top bra and they're just holding their belly and they're like doing TikToks on the street. Look at my belly. Those people are becoming the main character by just having everybody look at them. They're saying, look at me. Look how ugly I am. Look how much I do not care about my appearance. This is why I deserve your attention. Look at me. There's no value that they're adding. There's nothing that they're giving to the world besides an egregious physical appearance. Their entire outward expression is just, look how much I can change about my body and not care about the job. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? So they get their attention by just like declaring themselves as something. If you're a main character and you don't try to add anything of value, then you're a clown. Then you're a background character. You're trying to get people's attention by offering nothing. So it's a reminder coming back to New York City, because I remember being 18 when I was here. And I remember, this is here sound gay, Put an L in the chat. L spam for this. I cried on my 18th birthday. I haven't talked about that. Crying's gay. I don't cry often. I can't even remember the last time I cried genuinely. But that was one time I specifically remember. And I remember it like a main character moment. Where the L's? I need to see some L's for that. And I'm the type of person where I see life through this cinematic lens. I always think of it like even when I have a moment where I'm upset or when things go wrong or someone in my family dies, I'm thinking about the camera, feel like how this could be written. I'm thinking about how this can be, how this would be filmed. I'm thinking about how cinematic this moment is. I kind of see the beauty in terrible moments because I've always seen life as a movie. That's been my lens to view the world. And why I always think about these ideas about becoming a main character. I think that when you're becoming a man, you need to first develop an ego, but it has to be justified. Tate always talks about that. But where I always was is where I needed to find confidence. I needed to be confident. I needed to be comfortable in my own skin. And I used to follow this idea of fake it till you make it. Thinking that even if I said this in a video, that even if you don't know what you're talking about, say it with confidence and you're going to be compelling. People are going to listen to you, which is true. You're going to be far more compelling and more people are going to perk up and listen to you if you have confidence when you speak. If you present yourself with confidence. Like, for example, when you put on a nice shirt and you walk into a room, you can walk by the hostess at a restaurant. If you walk with enough speed and you act like you know where you're going and you're like, you just go in. If you walk in with a good outfit, you are much less likely to be stopped than if you walk in looking like a bum. If you look like you know where you're going, people are like, oh yeah, he knows what he's doing. Like people get sneak into a music festival just with a clipboard and a ladder because they assume that this guy knows what he knows what he's doing. But that will only take you so far, this idea of fake it till you make it. If you don't know what you're doing, eventually you're going to be exposed. The people who really know, you'll be able to surpass 90% of people because 90% of people have no idea what they're doing. 90% of people are just walking through life, looking for a little bit of something. They don't know what they need. They haven't found their own place in the world, especially young people. So if you are more confident and you are louder and you command a room, which you can do as a low IQ idiot. Anybody can do that if you just figure out your body language, your mannerisms, and how most people think. But the real people will know. The actual successful people will be able to see right through your bullshit. They can smell that from a mile away and you will be exposed as a fraud. And being exposed as a fraud in a room full of made men, as opposed to being exposed as a fraud between a bunch of normie NPCs, is way different. That's going to be much more soul crushing. That's going to it's going to damage your reputation much, much more. So you don't just want to have blind confidence. You need to earn it. And the only way to actually earn that type of confidence is by adding value to the world, is by working on something, is by leaving your leaving your mark on the world. That has to be positive. I think a lot of people have this misconception that as long as people are hearing them, then they're successful. As long as, because we all want to make an impact on the world. So as long as they're being heard, as long as people are reacting, that it's something good. But the truth is, if you're not adding anything positive, you're not adding anything to the world that people can use and that can help other people, or that's changing the way people think to some extent, then you're just a loud clown making noise. So I think back to that time when I was 18 years old on my birthday, and I remember sitting crying like a faggot because I was unsure of everything that I wanted to do in life. I want to be the main character, but I hadn't really developed my alter ego. And I think everybody needs to have an alter ego, especially L-Stream. I think everybody needs to have an alter ego. If you ever struggle with insecurity, which type of one if you guys do, I think most people do. The very select few ever really have to think about where they belong in the world or their security, because if you grow up with a hard enough upbringing and you go through enough struggles, you don't have any time to be insecure like a faggot. Like, there's no time for that. But for the people that do, which I think there's a lot of people in the chat that are like that, I think that you need to develop an alter ego because your insecurity comes from you being afraid to show your real self to the world. And I think most people have that because they don't want other people to see their weaknesses. They don't want other people to see that deep down you think you're a fraud. So if you develop an alter ego, for me, my name is Hubert, but I developed this character, this idea, this person called Sneako, and you attach everything good that you want in the world to that name, to this idea, to this brand, everything that Sneako is, then you can find your ways to be more confident, because your alter ego can help you step out of your own self and this constant self-reflection, the traps of narcissism, and help you create a character. And it doesn't mean that it has to be fraud, because creating a character doesn't mean that it has to be all a lie. It's not all exterior, but it is a version of yourself that is separate from the weaknesses and the insecurities and all the self-reflection, the self-awareness that we are more accustomed to than we ever have been because of social media. Because of the phone and because of how much media is constantly being put out there, I think people are more aware of their existence than they ever have been. I think we're always comparing ourselves. We are always thinking about how people are going to think about this, how this is going to impact, and how people are going to respond. It's the most autistic time in history. So if you develop an alter ego, a version of yourself that you are creating like a video game character from the start up, then you can piece together and not fear that rejection. The fear of rejection is what holds people back more than anything else. And I think a good example of that, if you're not going to talk about me, is somebody like Myron from Fresh and Fit, for example. His government name, I don't want to say it right now. But he created Myron Gaines. That's not his real name. Myron Gaines means Myron my gains. It's a fitness bodybuilding term. It means like, oh, you Myron? You Myron, bro? And so this guy's like not at all narcissistic. He was a former federal agent, kind of comes from this cop-fed background, rudimentary structure. And then he steps into a world that's completely opposite. This world here where it's a camera, microphone, and you need to entertain. And the only way a guy like him could do that, because he doesn't have any of that narcissism, social media bullshit, is he has to create this character, is he has to become somebody exterior. He needs to create somebody that's behind the screen and not just running around arresting people. And somebody like him is successful doing it. And I think, for an example, you can compare what I do to that and what a lot of you guys want to do as well. You can compare a guy like that because he will only add value. You're creating a character, but it's not negative. It's not narcissism, because he's trying his whole objective is specifically to add value. How could I help? How could I make more money? How could I change the conversation? If you go in with blind narcissism and you create an alter ego, you create a TikTok account and you start just dancing and showing your belly and your green hair, you become like the nurses in COVID. In 2020, do you remember when we started gassing up nurses so much that they would just prop up their phone and then film themselves crying like they would just literally, they would set up their phone right here and then like a patient would die. And because we were like, oh my God, nurses, and people were banging pots and pans out the window, nurses would set up the phone. So somebody lost their life, and a nurse is so gassed up that she thinks that's a moment for her to get her time to shine. She's having her main character moment. She's so wrapped up in her own head, and her self-esteem is so high because people are applauding just the fact that she's a whore. I mean, nurses are whores. That she thinks it's acceptable to set up her phone and take a loss of life as a moment for herself. Thanks for the 5. Mario, I love that quote from Ye. If you're a fan of Kanye West, you're actually a fan of yourself. My music is the espresso to get you up through life. Yeah, because self-belief and that internal, everybody can relate to that, because everybody has that. Whether or not you like to admit it, everybody has the urge and desire to be somebody. And that doesn't have to be just a clout chase thing, but everybody wants to leave. It's a masculine imperative to want to leave an impact on the world, to want to leave a dent. And when I'm back in New York City, I think about that time when I was 18 and I sat there on my bed crying like a bitch because I turned 18 and now I'm an adult. And I felt the loss of innocence, the forcing myself, or just being forced to now transition to somebody that is responsible for myself and that is to find a way to leave an impact on the world. I felt the immense pressure hit all at once when I turned 18, which should have been a giant celebration, which should have been, it's something that, even though it's an arbitrary day or whatever, it's something that we ascribe adulthood to. I remember thinking in that moment, like now it's time. now you have to do something. There's no more. And I had Sneako since I was 14, like 13, 14 years old. I had this, but I'd kind of been ignoring it. And so I was faced with that reflection that now you need to add something to the world. And I come back here to New York City and I think about all the people that I went to school with. I think about all my brother's friends and what they're doing. I look at the other 18-year-olds, the other people who are in here, and everybody. I blanked on a live. I don't care. I think about everybody who's trying to find themselves and who's trying to leave an impact on the world, and how difficult that is because everybody's trying to do it. So a lot of people take the easy route and immediately try to look for clout. Like the Island Boys, for example, like you can get a bunch of tattoos and just say you're gay, and then you'll get attention. And then that will give you a short, fleeting sense of accomplishment because people are giving you their attention. People are giving you their eyes. So you get that dopamine release of like, look, I've done something. It's never been easier to get that satisfaction, but it's also never been more short-lived. Fame is absolutely meaningless now. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change anything to the world. Just because you're famous, it doesn't. Everybody's famous. So you go around New York City, everybody has something that they're doing. Everybody has their own project. Everybody knows everybody. It's the most meaningless. It's the most meaningless sense of accomplishment that we've ever had. So I come back here and I'm reminded that even though I have that now and I need to walk around like Leonardo DiCaprio because just to have a little bit, like I'm in a hat store, like buying this hat. Like first I'm walking around with my sunglasses. People are coming up to, like too many people are coming up to me. And I go to the hat store just so I can like walk around and not get mobbed. Cause I'm in a store feeling anxious because I don't have my gun. And not only do you realize like when you watch Disney movies when you're a kid and you see like how they glorify celebrity and how like you think like when you're younger, like, oh, that must be cool. Like I can handle that. And you think about like Hannah Montana, another alter ego that like the Miley Cyrus created. You think about how you would be able to handle that. And then that becomes your life. And even though all the movies said that this is going to be pointless, now it's your life and you're like, yeah, it's pointless. Like people will come and take a picture with you, shake your hand. Some people say good things, but the only interactions that really matter are when people are genuinely happy. When you can tell that you've impacted their life. When they say something, they repeat something you said back to you. And you could tell that it's had a positive impact on their life. Those are the types of interactions that you really leave satisfied with. And I want to keep on having that. And being back here, it's a reflection of how not only everybody comes to New York City, everybody's in New York City because they believe they're the main character to some extent. That's why I've always tried to attach that to my identity more than I try to attach my hometown, New Haven, Connecticut, even though I was born here. I try to attach New York City to my identity more because it has like this kind of allure to it. All the protagonists in movies are from New York City. The coolest people, the best artists are from here, the best movie directors. And you see people, I walked around and I saw this interaction. Now, like police will come up to me and police will be like, yo, I like your videos. And I respect policemen. I respect the work that they do. And I'm very happy that they're around. But then I remember back in 2020 in the BLM riots where I was doing this guerrilla journalism and stuff like that. I was filming everything that was going on. I remember hating cops for a while. I remember going through this like rebellion phase. Like I'm a late teen and I'm like, fuck cops. And I remember like like saying fuck you to a cop, like to his face during the BLM riots, even though I thought the shit was bullshit and that abolish the police was all garbage. And I was making these videos about why Portland was, how stupid everything was going on in Portland. They had like no police zones and they were barricading streets. I remember going up to a cop during one of the BLM riots in New York City and looking like straight dead into the eyes of another policeman and saying, fuck you, pig. And then I was sitting in the park today with my Leonardo DiCaprio fit on. And I see the police, head nod because I think they watch some of the videos. And then I see a liberal walking by, like a non-threatening white guy outfit where, the beanie, he's wearing Vans. He's like holding a longboard to be like, look, I'm not a racist. And he's got a boom box or whatever. And he's walking by and the police are walking. And then there's chalk on the floor and it says, fuck cops. He's like, you should read that. You should read that. And then he fucking just like run like goofy white guy runs away. Non-threatening run. Batu Beijing, thanks for the Sneako. Love to see you on your victory lap, returning to where it all started. Well, it's not a victory lap because it never stops. And the cops just kind of like shrug it off. The cops see this like guy just like run away in his vans, and they just keep on like, oh no, just shrug it off. And I'm like, that's the difference between two people. Like the two policemen there are hardworking. They're risking their lives every single day to try to protect the community. The people around the community that they're protecting, they don't even care about them. And people who are under no threat of violence, like that non-threatening white dude with the mustache who lives in Brooklyn. This guy is getting his main character moment by saying, fuck you cops, yeah. And he has this feeling like he just did something, like he just had his moment. That was his like, yeah, stick it to the man. These people have no idea who's really in charge. Like the fact that they think that the policemen are like some actual figure of authority when really they're making probably less, if not equal to whatever everybody else is making in the community. All the liberals that hate them, they don't realize they're in the same pay bracket. They're in the same tax bracket as all the policemen, but they look at the cops just because they have a uniform as a figure of authority. It's ridiculous. What they don't think about, and this is what I'm reminded of, like why I stepped outside of Epstein's house today, like on East 71st Street. It's Central Park East. Right next to the playgrounds where all the kids are walking through, where all the families are, you see there's Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. And it's all, you know, it looks like it's not this big monument forever. I remember when Trump was running, all of New York stood outside of Trump Tower. Fuck you, Trump! Fuck you, Trump! And then you see Epstein's house, and it's boarded up. There's like construction workers coming in and out, and there's nobody there. There's no giant protest there. There's nobody saying, fuck you, Epstein. No one cares about that. They look at the policemen, the liberals here look at the policemen as a figure of authority, but not these people who probably were friends with Epstein, who are still living on that street. You look at all the signs of all the apartments on Epstein's block, and it's like, bro, these people are probably his friends. These people were probably visiting the house too. They're walking around. They have like the Filipino guy wearing a suit in the front with the hat. Hello, come in. Those people were hanging out with him. No one's protesting. No one cares. Thank you for the 10, Stephen Jones. Sneako by guy. Living an alter ego is just cope. A man needs to drive. Life isn't a happy story. You just have to work hard for a happy ending. That's true. But every man wants to leave some sort of impact on the world. The masculine imperative is to be the change you want to see in the world. We all want to fight for what's right. And you don't win that fight unless you don't leave any impact, right? If you lived a successful life but nobody knew about it, and if you didn't change anything, did you really live? Were you really there? Did you really exist? If nobody's life was affected by your existence, what was the point? What did you do? What did you change? Why did you even exist? If you didn't change the world to become better in the way that you think it should be, then like, why did you live? What else is there to do? What are there? Of course, you have to worship God, but then you realize that, like, even if you just follow that, you realize most people don't worship God, and God wants us to spread the word of God. You know, God wants us to do good, and you can't do good without changing the life of anybody else. And if you don't have an alter ego, if you don't have any sort of belief, if you don't have any confidence, self-esteem, ego, if you don't have any of that, then you'll never be able to step out of your comfort zone and risk rejection and get to that point. Becoming a man is very difficult. It's very difficult. I think it's going to be a longer process than it's been for most people, I think, now more than ever. And you look at somebody like Angus Cloud, for example, rest in peace. If you guys don't know who he is, Angus Cloud was the white drug dealer in the show Euphoria. I actually kind of like that show, even though there's a lot of propaganda in there, very liberal, like they put all these trannies in there on purpose. I want to rest in peace to Angus Cloud, who I don't know how he died, but if you look at the circumstances, you think that somebody like that, like probably, I don't want to put it out there, but I'm going to guess that he ended his life. I'm going to guess that he deleted himself. He was 25. And I don't know his story, but like you can look into his eyes. I've seen some of his interviews, and you can tell that guy was deeply troubled. And therapy is never the solution for this. In very rare circumstances do I think that therapy is ever going to be the solution to get people out of this. I think the first step is having a group of racist friends. You need to have some, instead of going to therapy, get one of your friends to call you a racial slur. No matter what you are, when you're feeling down in that way, you need to have an autistic group of friends who's not afraid to call you on your shit and just say something extremely fucked up to bring the spirits back up. I think that if anybody's depressed, and I see the look, I could tell you don't have racist friends around you. That will get rid of your self-esteem and remind you that your feeling of importance, even getting to the point where you're going to delete yourself, that's so stupid. Like, how dumb? What? You're going to jump off a bridge, nigger? What's wrong? What? You chink? You want to, slit my wrist, you fucking wop? Ugh. Oh, I'm a cracker. I'm sad. Ooh, crack. Shut the fuck up. You got to forget that, how important do you feel about your internal self that you would ever delete yourself? You think that you're that valuable? You think that, I'm going to have my sad moment? No. You need to have racist friends who call you a faggot if you ever get depressed. And then you also need to have that alter ego so that you know the difference between what's really you, the real you. And I think the real you is who you are when you're like 12 years old. I think that defines you. I think when I think of my real self, it's me, 12 years old, playing Call of Duty in my mom's basement, looking at YouTube and thinking, this is what I want to do. Having all these dreams and aspirations, kind of unsure of myself, like awkward body, I'm skinny and like kind of lanky. Like, that's the real, I think 12 years old you as a man defines you. Yes or no, chat? Do you agree? And then from then on, it's about developing who you want to be. Developing the ideal you. Because even when imposter syndrome is never going to go away. Even when you succeed, people in the chat are saying, like, congrats on the victory lap. It's not a victory lap. It's just because it never feels real. Even when you get to a point of success, it never really, it's always going to be surreal. Yes, no, yes, no. Of course you're going to change past 12 years old, but that's when your core desires are defined. That's when you pretty much know what you want to do in life when you're 12. Even if you don't know, whatever you're most interested in, whatever you're spending the most time with, your sense of humor, how smart you are, it's not really going to change that much past 12, like right at the pinnacle of puberty. Of course you figure more things out, but everything past that is just, you're attacking it, and then you're not really, you're maturing, but you're just carving the marble sculpture at that point. You're just carving it. And your backstory defines you. That's why I always craved having struggle. That's why I always wanted to put myself through difficult situations, because I knew intrinsically, even at that age of 12, that the main character is not going to be admired by the audience. The main character is not going to be, it can't be the hero of any story if the main character had it easy. Nobody wants to watch a movie where the main character is just goes through life, and then he finds a girl, and then he gets married, and then boom, credits. No one's watching that. Movies don't exist without conflict. You need plot in a movie. Something's going right, boom, someone gets shot. How do we figure it out? The blood's on the floor. Where do I hide? Where do I go? You need to have plot. That's why I always wanted to put myself in a situation where I had to make it for myself, where I dropped out of college and made it difficult, where I moved to New York City not knowing a lot of people, where I was living in the hood in Harlem by myself in a studio apartment. Even in COVID, I stayed here while all the fucking normies left. I was in New York. Like, I moved here March 1st, 2020. I was living in Long Island for 1 or 2 years after I dropped out of college. I was living on Long Island in a basement, and there was mold, and then it flooded. And I was living with some college students, and I was the only non-college student. I had just dropped out. I was making around $2,000 a month, and I'm just like, I didn't have enough money to move to the city, and I didn't want to go back home. I didn't want to go and take the easy route because the comfort zone, that's not how you craft the proper backstory for the character. The main character needs struggle. I need to stay in this basement with the mold and the loud parties and these Eastern European trash who are playing your boom, boom, let's party up in the living room. And it's so loud, the subwoofer bass that they brought in from Georgia is vibrating the ceiling in this room. And then I finally had to leave because it flooded so much that it was just literally impossible to live there. My mattress was on the floor. I dropped out. I was making these videos like Fake It Till You Make It. And I had to leave. So March 1st, 2020, I get an apartment in Harlem on 141st Street and Malcolm X Boulevard. Or Malcolm X Avenue, whatever. 141st Street, deep in the hood. I'm like, I'm in the projects. And so it's great. Like, I feel like I made it. I'm thinking like Mark Twain had this quote, if you can make it in New York City, you can make it anywhere in the world. I'm thinking like, New York, New York. I did it. I'm here. I have my own place in New York City. It's literally a tiny, it's like half the size of this room. Like what you see in here is half the size. Kitchen, sink, bed. And I'm here, and I could not have been happier. I just started the 1 Minute Podcast. I had a series that I was able to do every single week. I had figured out a way to use a camera, microphone, and have my voice heard, make an impact, start conversations. I was developing myself. I had dropped out. I had found a good stream of revenue. 2 weeks later, COVID. Boom. Now I'm inside. Now I can't do the 1 Minute Podcast. I can't go in the subway and talk to people anymore. I can't run around making videos. I can't use New York City anymore. Now this is the epicenter of COVID. It's the epicenter of a global pandemic. Everybody left. Everybody with money got out. They went to the Hamptons. They went to Connecticut. They went to Ohio. And I'm in the projects, me in my studio. And my parents are like, come home, come home. I'm like, no, I can't do it now. My main character journey just started. I'm not giving up now. And I'm just in the projects. And I'm just like getting a bacon, egg, and cheese at the deli. And then I go back to and I'm like, what do I do now? Like, I'm not in school. I don't really have skills. I'm just in the process of developing this. I'm in my apartment. I can't use the city. The whole reason I moved here was so I can do stand-up comedy in the clubs, is so I can go around and get inspiration from the artistic center of the world. And I'm just stuck. What do I do? And I just start panicking. I'm just like making videos once in a while, like, you know, some reaction videos. I didn't really think about streaming back then. I don't know why, but those hard times made it so that when we got out of COVID, after fucking 70% of this city got vaccinated in 1 month. Can you believe that? L for all those people in the chat. 70% of New York City got vaccinated in 1 month. And I'm walking around like, are all of you NPCs? Genuinely, I was walking around like I was like feeling like the main character. Like, how is everybody this plugged in? They don't see that they didn't even test this vaccine. They don't even know what's in it. COVID's not even that bad. All these young people, the fact that they forced us to take it, the fact that right when COVID dropped, everybody knew that this was going to happen. I thought this was common knowledge. As soon as COVID dropped, I'm like, oh, they want to sell vaccines. Oh, the big pharmaceutical companies want to make billions of dollars, which they did, from the vaccine. Of course, like Bill Gates did the same thing. You give the computer the virus, and then you sell the virus software. Why don't they do the same thing with health? He spreads malaria, then he gives you malaria medication. You give people COVID like for 99.9% survival rate, and then you give them a vaccine that you force them to take to go to work, to go to school, to even travel. I'm looking around like everyone's an NPC. So when I made it out of that, I developed enough mental fortitude to see through a lot of that nonsense, to value my life and my time and everything that I'm supposed to do. Those struggles, like being in that apartment, and somebody ended up throwing a bottle through. I was with my an ex-girlfriend at the time, and I had the curtains open, stupid, and I was having sex with her. I know. I was having sex with her, and like I see the flash go off, and then one of my neighbors from across, some guy in the projects, was like taking, I don't know if it was his son or if it was him, and I yell at the window, and I'm like yelling back and forth, and I'm like, delete that, or why would you? He's like, I ain't taking no picture, nigga. What's up? You know my body, I'll beat the fuck, I'm gonna kill you, nigga. And I'm like, bro. So I throw an egg at his window because he was lying, and he throws a glass bottle, smashes my window. And now I'm in Harlem on 141st Street, living alone, broken window, and a neighbor wants to kill me. So I moved to Brooklyn. I got out of there. Still didn't move home. And this is during COVID. And this is during quarantine. And this is the epicenter of the virus. And I'm walking around in Times Square, and there's nobody here. There's not a soul. I'm walking around like it's GTA and it's loading. I walk in Grand Central, the biggest train station, one of the biggest train stations in the world. From my point, I think it's the biggest in America at least. And there's nobody there. I'm walking around and I'm the only person in there. And the whole reason I moved here was to get more interactions with people, because how I get my worldview and how I learn more is from interactions. And in New York City, you interact with more people than you ever will. You interact all these different main characters every single day, all these people who have their own self of expression. They have their own lens on the world. They want to be something. People come here because they want to be something. And I'm here trying to be something. There's nobody else here. Smashed window, no apartment. What, like, I'm in danger. These people that like want to kill me. What do? But I always knew that that's what you need. Because if you just have blind confidence, if you walk in there then you're just a loudmouth asshole. So you need to have those types of struggles. Going through something is what makes you into a man, overcoming it. And so I really feel for those people who are 18, 19. I was talking to my friend and who I hadn't seen in a while. And a lot of them are still going through that. Like even like in your early 20s, like guys are still type of one, if this is you, these people are still trying to find their place in the world. Like a lot of people are in jobs they don't want to be in, or they don't really have a strong belief system. You know, their only satisfaction in life is having a drink at the end of the day, having a little cigarette and conversation. A lot of people, they don't have a specific place in the world, and you can tell they don't have that meaning. And a lot of men, I think that this is one of the most critical times where men are craving some sense of meaning. Not only are they hungry for some sort of masculinity because of how much, like, bro, everyone's walking around with green hair and a giant. People are starving not only for masculinity, for leadership, for guidance, and looking for some sort of answers to the world, but they're also looking for some sense of meaning. Where do I fit in this world? Where do I find my place? How do I stand out? How do I impact the world? How do I make a difference? How do I be the change that I want to see? I want to leave my mark on the world too. I don't just want to see other people succeed and I'm going to fall behind. How do I use the gifts that I have from God to leave an impact on the world? And there's one of my friends that has a happy-go-lucky younger brother who's about 18. And he's telling me, like, happy-go-lucky guy, he's always like the class clown is always the one who deep down, like at the end of the day, you get home and you're just like, fuck. Because that dude is putting up blinders to try to mask the fact that he's looking for meaning. The class clown is using comedy as a defense mechanism. And I'm talking to my friend. He's like, this guy's like 18, and the little brother told my friend, like, some days I just want to disappear, and like you aren't going to see me for a while. Like there's going to be like months go by, and I'm going to disappear, and you're not going to hear from me at all. And I'm like, the happy-go-lucky, the goofy guy, the goofy dude said that, and it makes perfect sense. And I was like that when I was 18. I was always joking around, class clown, stuff like that, you know, disrupting. And I remember like thinking back to that birthday, I was sitting there like, what now? What do I do? The rest of my life is in front of me, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. So to wrap all this up, if any of this made sense, don't just look for the immediate gratification of yelling, making noise, doing something egregious with your appearance, and looking for immediate attention from people, because that's fleeting. You have to develop confidence, but you can't just be the loudest person in the room. If you have no meaning, if there's no meaning attached to your words, then they're weightless, and people will be able to smell right through that. So it's extremely important to have confidence, but you need to attach your purpose to something that's adding value to the world. If there's no work ethic, if there's no constant desire to make a change in whatever you do, then what you're doing is meaningless. So first, if you are feeling like you have no idea what you want to do, think about the most important issue in the world. What is the number one thing, L-Stream? What is the number one thing that's necessary? What's the number one most necessary change in the world? Think about that, and then everything else follows. Your purpose, how you are going to define your character. All of that will come into place. Thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna have a bigger stream. I think Zerka's in town. I want to bring on Jadian. Jadian was supposed to come on today, but I just want to talk about that because being back in New York is a good time for me to reflect. I really love this place. And I have some great videos on the way, great podcasts on the way. Stay tuned for that. Make sure to join the Discord, link in the description. And the reason that the stream was so short is because there wasn't a lot of content. So I need more content. Join the Discord, link in the description. And also join the Creativity Kit. You guys know, link in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you. Join the Telegram. Follow me on social. You already know. Make sure to follow. What are we at? 276, chat? We're at 276 followers. I want to get to 500K. That's the goal for this year. L Short Stream.